everyone. So today I'm just going to do a quick overview of just like an introduction into AI and then going more in depth into prompting and prompt engineering. So let's get started. So here's a quick like overview of what we're going to go over today, just introducing like what is AI, going more in depth into AI prompting, introducing its purpose, like why we do it, why it's useful, then like a five-step framework, like a quick overview of what's useful in prompting, and then more details as to what you can do to really make those messages and those prompts really work for you. So first, just going into what is AI, like a quick introduction. So what is AI? AI stands for artificial intelligence, which means creating computer programs that can think, learn, and solve problems just like humans do. It allows machines to understand and respond to information, like you can recognize voices, answer questions, recommend videos, and so much more. You already use AI every day, aside from just ChatGPT. You use like Google Translate, Snapchat filters, YouTube suggestions, even Siri and Alexa. Those are all AI. Specifically for you guys, AI can help with school tasks, like going over essays, organizing notes, creating study plans, or explaining tough topics in a really simple way, which I think is one of the most useful things that AI can do. And then AI learns by studying patterns in a bunch of data, which is similar to how we get better at something by practicing and learning something from experience. And then a bit more focused into what we're working with, what are LLMs? So LLMs are large language models. There are two main types of LLMs. We have base LLMs, which predicts the next word based on like text training data. This isn't necessarily what we're going to be working with. It's a much more simple type of LLM. And then we have instruction tuned LLMs, which are models like ChatGPT. And these fine tune on instructions and like have good attempts of following those instructions. So these are trained using reinforcement learning with human feedback. So they're more specific to what we want from an AI model, and they're very useful. And then using instruction tuned LLMs is like giving instructions to someone who's really smart. Like they have all that information in their head, but you still need to like tell them what to do. You need to give them instruction so they actually understand what you're asking of them. So, in a way, AI is just like a really smart person. And you also need to specify like how you want your AI to respond and what you want it to do. So, just an introduction into AI prompting. Prompt engineering is the skill of talking to AI in the right way to get the best results. So, it's like giving super clear instructions so that the AI knows exactly what you want and you get what you want way faster. A prompt is the message or question that you type into an AI tool like ChatGPT, like summarize this piece of text or answer this math problem or something like that. Um, we use prompt engineering to make AI smarter, faster, and more useful for specific tasks. So, making a really clear, succinct prompt is basically just getting the results that you want out of AI faster and easier. It helps turn AI into a really powerful tool for school, creativity, problem solving, literally anything. And then learning prompt engineering puts you in control of AI, not the other way around. So you're really making like the best use out of the AI. Like you're getting like all the knowledge you want really quickly and exactly what you want the first time. So this is just an introductory like five-step framework into like the five things that are really important for prompting. So here's like a tiny thing that I use to memorize these five steps. Tiny crabs ride enormous iguanas. It's stupid, but it makes sense. So first we have the task. So this is what you want the AI to do, like solve this math problem or like make me like a history presentation or explain this concept. Like this is what you're straight up telling the AI to do. And then context. like give some background like surrounding your prompt. Like um instead of saying make a history presentation, say I'm doing research on like the 1800s or on this specific person, or like I'm a high schooler that's trying to make a presentation. So like it knows who to like basically like what parameters that you're defining, like who you want this thing to reach or what you want to understand specifically. Like it's just better structuring the response so that it fits you. And then references. So this is called few shot prompting. It's basically where you like provide a few successful examples like of what you want the AI to do so that it can kind of like copy it in its response. So I'll give more examples on all of these in the future. So like don't feel like really compelled to like understand it all right now. There'll be examples in the future. And then evaluate. So after you do all the prompting stuff, you get your response, you look at the response, you're like, is this what I want from the AI? Like, do I want this to be more specific? Do I want more like detail here or there? Like, do I want it, like, is it completely off from what I want? So this is just where you're like, okay, do I want to ask this question again in a different way to get different results? And then iterate. So this is where you like change the prompt up a bit and like refine it to make up for those errors that you found during like your evaluate stage. So prompting method number one, making your prompts clear and specific. So this is like a way to make sure that you're getting the information that you want out of the AI. So here are some four tactics like for clarity. First, use delimiters like triple quotes, triple dashes, angle brackets. So let's say you're asking AI to summarize like a paragraph or something. You're like, okay, summarize this paragraph in 2 sentences. That's your prompt. And then you're like, you just like put the paragraph there without anything like separating it. Sometimes that causes the AI to get confused. But if you say, summarize the paragraph that I put in angle brackets below in 2 sentences, then the AI knows exactly what it's looking for. And then the second tactic, ask for structured output. Like it doesn't just have to be a bunch of paragraphs that the AI spits out. You can be like, okay, summarize this in 3 bullet points, or put your results in a table, or summarize in like a few paragraphs or something. Like you can tell the AI exactly how you want your responses to look like. And then tactic three, make sure the AI like checks whether the conditions that you gave it are satisfied. Um, I'll give a more specific example of this in a couple of slides. And then tactic four, like I mentioned before, few shot prompting, where you provide a couple of examples of like successful things that you want the AI to like emulate. So here are a few example prompts. First, we have this one, which is like what I was talking about before, the delimiters. Read the text between the triple quotes and summarize it in 2 sentences. And then you have the triple quotes and the text in between. It just helps break things up, make sure the AI knows exactly what it's summarizing and doesn't get confused. Um, then the next one, explain 3 reasons why exercise is good for teens. Give your answer in bullet points. So this just makes it like easier for you to understand the answer. You can even tell it like, okay, give your answer in this many words, this many sentences, give it in a table or something like that. So like you know exactly what you're getting out of the AI's response. And then here we have like checking that the conditions are met after. So write a fun paragraph explaining photosynthesis to a middle school student. Make sure that it includes these 3 words: sunlight, chlorophyll, glucose. At the end, check that you used all 3 words. So this is just the AI going back and making sure that it fulfilled the requirements that you gave it. And this is especially important if you have like a lot of things that you're making the AI do. So it's just good practice that you have like the AI go back and like check, because AI can make mistakes too. So it's just good that you ask it to make sure it's fulfilled all the requirements you gave it. And then finally, this is like giving the AI a few examples that you want it to like copy in its response. So here it says, I want you to turn short notes into complete sentences. Here are two examples. And then it gives an input and an output like 2 times. And then it's like, okay, now try this one. And it gives the AI an input. So now the AI will generate an output that's very similar to the two outputs that were generated before. Like same sentence length, same like sentence structure or like complexity. It'll just like emulate what you gave it, which is really useful if you're looking for like a specific kind of response. And then we have the second prompting practice that you want to try and follow, which is allowing the model processing time. Like even AI can rush to conclusions. It's wrong like a good chunk of the time. Like sometimes when I'm asking it to do like complex math questions, it does get the answers wrong because it's really quickly rushing to conclusions. So here are a couple of tactics that we can use to make sure that we get an accurate response out of the AI. So, tactic one, specify the steps that you want the model to take to reach its solution, along with tell it how to format like the answer. So by telling the model to follow certain steps, you're making sure that it's doing what you want it to do and not just rushing to a conclusion using like a completely different method. So, for example, if you're asking it to solve a math problem, say, okay, I want you to follow these steps, or I want you to use this specific formula, or something like that. So that way the AI knows exactly how to reach its answer in the same way that you would. And then tactic two, instruct the model to work out its own solution to whatever you give it, and then compare it to your solution. So this is in the instance that you're like, okay, here's the question, here's my answer to it. Can you check if that's right? So in this method, you're telling the AI, okay, find your own answer first and then compare it to mine. This is making sure that the AI doesn't rush to conclusions and like assumes your answer is right. So in order to prevent that, you're telling the AI to come up with its own answer first. So here are some example prompts. So this is the first one is like giving AI steps to reach its conclusion. So here we have a math problem, solve it step by step. Then you're telling the AI, okay, follow these 3 steps and then format your answer, step 1, step 2, step 3, final answer. So by telling it the formatting, you're ensuring that the AI goes through each one of the steps. You can see its thought process. You can understand what it's doing, so you understand the topic better. And then it gives your final answer. So this is making sure that the AI isn't like rushing to conclusions. It actually thinks about what it's doing. And then number 2, this is like just like checking that the AI's answer is correct and that's not assuming that your answer is correct. So solve the problem yourself and then compare your answer to mine. So here you're giving the AI its task. You're like, okay, your task, solve the question yourself in 2 to 3 sentences. Then compare your answer to mine. Explain if my answer is correct or needs a fix. So this is making sure that the AI does its own reasoning and then compares its answer to yours. Okay, and then finally, the last step we have is iteration. So this is like you get your response, you're evaluating it, you're like, this is not quite what I want. So here you're changing the prompt to better fit what you want out of the response. So here are some these are like 4 things you can do to refine your prompt and iterate to get the prompt that you want. First, revisit the prompting framework, include more examples, more context, things like that. Something that I really like to do is assign AI a persona. So if I'm asking it like, look at this English essay and find any grammatical mistakes, I can be like, okay, act as a professional writer, act as like a college English professor. Just like giving it a persona so that it better knows how to evaluate the question or prompt that you're giving it. I find that really useful a lot of times. And then second method, separate the prompt and break it into simpler sentences. One way I like remembering this is imagine I give you like three paragraphs, like three chunky paragraphs of text, and I'm like, okay, do all of that. Like, obviously, you're going to be a bit confused. You're going to mess up somewhere. So instead of going like blah, 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 you can go like blah, blah, blah. So split like whatever you're saying into like smaller steps or sentences. If it's easier for you to understand, it's also easier for the AI to understand, so it makes less mistakes. So just think about that when you're writing like a really long prompt. And then method three, try switching the framing or switching to a similar task to get slightly different results from the AI. Like even changing a couple of words can get like completely different results. So coming at it from like a different perspective or assigning like a different persona or something, like that'll help you get like variations of responses until you figure out which one you like the best. And then finally, introduce constraints to narrow the focus down. So let's say like your AI reaches like a certain answer. You're like, okay, if you reach this answer, then do this. Or like give it certain constraints that you're like, okay, like don't think about this, or if this happens, like don't worry about it. Basically, like you're just giving the AI like a few parameters to work within so that it like better understands what to do. And somewhat like a little idiom that I like to use to remember this is ramen saves tragic idiots. So revisit, separate, try switching to different framing, and then introduce constraints. So that's just how I like to remember these four steps for iteration. And that is about it.